Hi,
Hi,
Caitlin.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
What have you been doing with all your time?
Oh, I've been studying for my MCAT actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm writing it in September, so I'm just kind of getting started.
Is that going to get like pushed back possibly because of everything or no?
They definitely pushed a couple dates back, so that's why it's going into September. Usually they don't have people write in September, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get right into your introduction.
Sure.
So for everyone here that doesn't know, this is Caitlin Lee. She plays for the Brandon Bobcats, the women's volleyball team. Just a brief background about Caitlin. In 13U, she joined the club, where they were able to win a provincial silver medal. Same goes with 14U. In 15U, they were able to win a provincial bronze medal as well as a bronze medal at nationals. 16U, you guys won 16U and 17U provincials. And then you guys came third at nationals that year. Second at provincials in 17U and third at nationals in 17U. And then in 18U, you guys were national champs. And then during your time at Brandon, you set the Canada West record for digs in a match with 38. And then you also set the Brandon University record for digs in a season with 383, correct?
Yes.
So I guess my first question is, how did you come about playing with the club?
Oof. I went to David Leader Middle School, and that was definitely like my gateway into Pac-Man. Kelly Smith, he's like a legend, as everyone knows, who plays for Pac-Man. He taught there, so he really got me into volleyball. I joined the school team, and like every time there was a Pac-Man club, I would just sign myself up,
Right,
regardless of like whether I was busy or not with school or anything.
right,
So yeah, I really got myself into programs like that, and slowly made my way into the actual club, like the actual rep team. So
right. Did you play any sports kind of before volleyball or not really?
I played everything honestly. Like in high school and middle school, I played everything. A lot of my like old classmates can attest to that. Like I played on every sport team that I could. But I'd say volleyball was my main one for sure.
Right. And did you find it like you had to pick between one or the other? Like, did you find like volleyball was kind of just an instant love for you, or?
Yeah, it was definitely an instant love. My parents and my family, like everyone plays tennis in my family, surprisingly. Like I don't know how I picked up volleyball out of
Right.
all the sports, but I liked the team environment of it. Tennis was kind of lonely. It was kind of like obviously it's like an individual sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really it wasn't hard to choose volleyball. Like it just made sense.
Right. So there's one question. So it's actually interesting because last week I spoke to Ethan Ellison, right?
Yes.
He had actually torn his ACL. So
Oh no.
I heard that you had torn your ACL in your 15th year, right? And
Yes, I
so
did.
actually, Tyler Robinson, your old coach, asked the question on the question box, and it was, "How did tearing your ACL at 15 shape your volleyball career?"
Oh wow. It shaped it a lot. There were definitely doubts of me even playing again. Like I know that sounds drastic, but for me it was a tough blow, you know. It was during my like a provincial semifinal. Tensions were high and there I go like falling down and yeah, it was a big setback to say the least. But I worked really hard during the summer to really rehab it and like 4.5 months later I was back on the court playing in tournaments, so it was really good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess so. You did that your 15th year, right? And obviously coming really close to that provincial gold medal, right? Where you guys obviously came
Mhm.
over the
Yeah.
2 years before. How was it then winning that like 16U year? Because was your 17U when you guys won 17U provincials? Was that before your 16U or
Oh my gosh, that was before.
that was
Wait.
before? So how did that feel? Kind of winning a provincial championship like the age above rather than like your
Oh,
own
it
age?
was huge. It was huge. That was my first year I played libero,
Hmm.
which is the position I play now. Before I was the left side, and that's how I hurt myself. So it kind of made sense for me to transition to a libero position because one, I'm only 5'7",
Right.
not very tall, and yeah, like coaches have told me in the past that like my platform's okay, so I can maybe think about that in the future. So
Right.
yeah, it was really big. It was a big comeback, and I was very happy that all the rehab and all the work finally paid off.
Right. And So I guess after winning 16 and 17 provincials, how did it feel then to come third in nationals? Because obviously, I assume you guys would have been a heavy favorites, right?
Yes, it was tough, but it was a battle. Honestly, like all these matches kind of blend in together. Like I do remember like individual points and individual matches, but like I play so much volleyball, it's hard
Yeah,
to
for
keep
sure.
track of everything.
And then moving on to kind of that 17 year. Obviously, you guys had won 17 provincials the year before.
Hmm.
So coming second and then third at nationals, like how was like because obviously that would have been disheartening, right? Because obviously you guys had won 17U provincials while being 16U and then not being able to pull it off 17U. What was that like?
Yeah, there are definitely expectations, I think, that came into that year. Um, like as soon as we won, like the previous year, as soon as we won 16U, 17U, like it was great. You know, everyone was like on a high. It was great. But then after that, the season after, it was a lot of expectations that like we had to fill for ourselves.
For
And
sure.
I think that pressure kind of got to us when it really mattered in provincials.
Right.
But I still loved my team that year. Like I still had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like the result wasn't what we wanted, but I think that we improved a lot as a team.
And at the end of the day, coming second at provincials and third at nationals is always not it's not nothing to really be too upset about, right?
Oh
It's
no, those are
it's
great.
still
Like
amazing.
yeah, we brought home some hardware, so that's still okay.
Yeah. And then I guess so after kind of a disappointing year in 17U, how did that kind of feel your team for 18U for nationals?
Our team in 18U actually kind of looked quite different from 17U. Like we had a lot of top players from other teams just make the commute and travel all the way to Mississauga
Yeah.
from like Toronto or from Aurora, like you know, girls that were really committed to win. And with this new squad, like we definitely dug down. We're like, hey, we got to show up this year, you know.
Right.
So it was great, yeah.
And then I guess I asked Lucy briefly when I had her on 2 weeks ago about kind of nationals. Maybe you could talk me through that as well.
Just like the weekend of
Yeah,
nationals.
just the weekend, the experience. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we didn't win that provincials, so that was a couple of weeks before that, and that was a huge upset. Like we were very favorited to win,
Right.
and leading up into nationals, I remember our team had like a sit down meeting where it was just like, okay, what do we have to do to win our final like tournament ever in OVA, right?
For sure.
So we had that meeting and we just like really bonded together as a team. And I remember that whole nationals weekend, like everything was running so smoothly. Like, you know, there are gonna be bumps in the road during the game, right? But we
Sure.
definitely like kind of came together and like, okay, took a deep breath and then we went back to the next point. And I think it went really smoothly. And then that just kind of translated to winning.
Right. And then what was game point like? Like how
Oh my
was
God. I think you guys posted the point like a couple days or like a couple of weeks ago. You guys posted the nationals point on.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching that. Literally gave me chills. Like I was very, very scared, very nervous, because it was so tight in that set. But yeah, that rally seemed to go on forever, and when the ball dropped, it was crazy.
And then I think one thing I've been told, just kind of talking to people that have won an AG national championship, did you feel a lot of relief, kind of that like now? Because obviously, I think like the group of people that you've played against, right? You played against for a while, so do you think there was
Hmm.
almost like a sense of relief that you won like the last tournament, and then there was kind of no more discussion about who the better team
Yeah,
was?
they were a great team. They were the Halton Hurricanes my year. They won nationals like what was it like two, three times before this, and they were looking for another title, and we were just not going to let that happen. Like we knew a lot of the girls on that team, and we were friends with them and everything, but when it comes to like on the court rivalry, like we were not going to let them win
Right.
this
Yeah,
year.
for sure. So I assume would that have been your favorite memory while playing at the
Oh
club?
yeah, yeah. That I
Yeah.
think to this day, that's one of my favorite volleyball memories.
And then how many girls from your 18U team did you have on your like 13U team?
Just one,
Just one
Julia.
for just you? Oh wow.
Julia Vierchico. Yeah, it was me and her. We were the captains for the 18U team. Probably just because we were veterans. You know, we've been here for so long. If she was my person. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. No,
Yeah,
that's
she was my
awesome.
person.
And then during your time, I guess, at the club, did you do any beach training then at Thomas Street?
Me and Julia actually only played beach for one season. We
How was
actually did
that?
really well. We were only 14
Right.
and we like swept a lot. Like we won a lot of tournaments. We brought home hardware in provincials, but that was the only year that we played or I played beach. I think the year after that's when I had my ACL surgery.
Right.
And then after that, it was like Team Ontario stuff. So like I didn't
Right.
really get
And
back
then
into beach.
during that time, you would have had Kadeem and Alex as your beach coaches, correct?
Yes.
So how was that? How was kind of that experience for you?
It was really good. Yeah, they're very knowledgeable. I definitely learned a lot from them. Beach is like a whole different kind of game, so really had to kind of go back from the beginning, like have a whole
Yeah,
different mentality for it. But it was great. Yeah.
for sure. And then with your experience at the club, like while you were playing indoor, you had obviously Tyler for a little bit as well as Mike Albert. Did
hmm
you have a different coach during 13 and 14?
I had Rick.
Oh,
Rick.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. And also my dad, my dad kind of assistant coached a bit. He kind of jumped on there.
Right.
But it was really good. Yeah, I'm glad that I had different coaches throughout my club years, just because they give like a whole different perspective, right? When they coach you or during practices, the drills that they enforce, things like that. So it's like it's really good to have different coaches.
Yeah. And was there one coaching style that you maybe favored a little bit more? Obviously, they're all amazing coaches, but
They're all amazing.
yeah,
I
they're
don't
all.
think I could choose a favorite coach, but
But
um,
maybe like a certain like style or maybe something that worked for you a little more.
I really like Tyler Robinson's coaching. Like
Mhm.
I think his how hard he was on the girls was like perfect. Like it was strict, but it wasn't to a point where it was like, okay, like he's just being unreasonable with this criticism that he's giving. And I think that year I started being libero.
Yeah.
Um, he really gave me confidence for
Right.
that, for sure. Because I was unsure, right? Like I came back from surgery, I didn't really know what was going on. I was glad that he had faith in me and, you know, really
Yeah.
pushed me to be the player I am.
No, for sure. I think one thing that's a little underlooked is obviously I think people think playing the position's pretty easy, right? But there's a lot that goes into it.
Yes, it's a lot. It's like you're the quarterback of the back row, and you probably don't get a lot of the credit that
No,
where credit is due, but like you got to do your job in the end, right? So you're the
for
person
sure.
that's, diving and throwing your body around. So,
No, exactly. So I guess moving towards kind of like your university experience, why did you choose Canada West?
I thought that the league, I was really down to travel and to play new competition. Sometimes just now, like talking to some of my old teammates that play in OUA, um, it's like they play the same faces all the time,
Hmm.
like that we played in club,
Yeah.
and I kind of find that like I don't know redundant. So I kind of like the new faces and the new competition and the new style of play in Canada West.
Right. And then would you say there was a difference kind of from just even like maybe the play style out west compared to here?
I haven't really played that many teams in OUA. Like I played maybe like U of T and McMaster at exhibition tournaments.
Right.
I would say that the girls out west are definitely taller and bigger, and I don't know how, but they just are.
It just are.
And yeah, they're just bigger. I think
Right.
the physicality wise is they're just bigger, and so you got to get used to that.
So then as a libero, how was that transition for you to go from playing kind of H&U volleyball to then your first year in university?
It was definitely tough. I had my, like rookie years. I'm sure a lot of rookies can relate. It's just like you have to get used to the whole team setting. You have to get used to your role as a rookie and everything. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to play a decent amount in my first year.
Right.
So I gained a lot of experience. And yeah, like don't get me wrong, I still had my games where it was just like
Yeah.
face palming myself, like how how strange it was to play and how bad I was. But um, it all helped in the end, right? Like it was all experience. So
For sure. And Lucy had talked about a couple of weeks ago that like your H&U team also kind of helped for that because the intensity and like the skill level was there.
oh
Did
yeah, for
you find
sure.
that as well?
Yeah, for sure. My 18U year, just a bunch of high quality players, in every position,
Right.
and they definitely like we would play different university teams just to scrimmage them, and like we were at their level, you know, like if not close. So that definitely gave me a good look into what university ball would be like.
Yeah, and then I guess as a libero, it's actually a question that I had. Did you find kind of like a difference in like the velocity of the serves or anything, or not really?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Service was different. It was hard at first. In my first year, especially, I found trouble passing like a couple games here and there,
right,
just because the speed of the ball, how accurate the servers are now, like serving. So getting used to that was a challenge, but over time, you get used to it.
right. So just looking here at the question box here. One of the questions here is what is your like who's your favorite team to play against while like in the Canada West?
Ooh, I like playing.
Like
I
maybe a
like
gym or like facility.
I like playing University of Manitoba,
Hmm.
because they're technically like our rivals in a way because we're both from Manitoba.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's always fun playing them. Like some of my teammates know some of the girls that play on that team, and it's always fun.
Right. And then like I guess going back to because obviously you guys won your 18 national championship at the University of Alberta.
Hmm.
Do you enjoy playing there? Does that kind of every time you walk
I
in there?
do like
Does it
playing
kind of,
there, actually. I love playing there. Just walking around the facility too. It's a beautiful facility, the Seville Center. Yeah, it's beautiful. Just walking through the doors and just walking through the front gym.
yeah.
It's definitely some nostalgic moments that come back.
For sure. No, for sure. So yeah, no, I was just interested to see if that still hung on to you or not.
Yes, yes.
Another question we have here is like, how old were you when you first started playing volleyball?
I was like 13 years, so what is that, like grade 7? I don't know
Yeah,
what that is. That like
yeah.
13 years old, 12 years old? Yeah.
And then that would have what your first experience would have been at school.
It would be at school, yeah. I played on like the grade 6 team or whatever, the varsity middle school team, and then slowly made my way into Pac-Man first, yeah.
Okay. And then just again, I've said this in like kind of events prior to. So again, I'm kind of a numbers guy. So I was looking at your averages. This past season, you averaged 4.35 digs per set, and then
Okay.
set the record for total digs in a season for your school. So, like, how did you have so much success? Like, what's kind of like your mindset when defending?
My mindset when defending is I find that defense is definitely an attitude. Um, it's like regardless of, you know, some days you won't be seeing the ball right and you won't be passing as well or things like that, or things may be out of your control, but defense is always an attitude. So you always come into the game ready to, you know, throw your body wherever necessary to get that freaking ball up. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's my mentality.
For sure. And then, like, is there certain kind of maybe advice that you can give to younger athletes in terms of looking at the block, reading a hitter?
For sure. Getting used, like once you're down with your whole like technical skills of digging a ball in general, like the next level I'd say would be to be able to read the hitter and position yourself accordingly depending on the block.
Right.
So, and I find that honestly, like being aggressive and taking that big step into the court in the middle of the court and taking up as much court as you can be kind of scary, but you're gonna find some good success, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, so you said to me at the beginning of the live that you are studying for your MCAT. What are some future goals for you within the sport, outside of the sport?
Within the sport, my plans as of right now, I want to write my MCAT and hopefully do well on it.
Hmm.
And then I'd like to become a doctor one day. I don't know what kind of profession. Definitely make it into med school eventually, but if I have a year like off or like year in between med school and now, I'd like to play professionally somewhere. I think that would be really cool to travel.
For sure.
But that's a bit in the future, so.
Any and obviously, would there be anywhere like any cities or something you'd want to go visit, or somewhere in Europe? Any?
Honestly, wherever volleyball takes me, like volleyball has taken me so many places, across Canada, in the States, you know, things like that. So, um, I'm definitely down to play wherever and just have fun. Yeah.
Right. No, for sure. And then I guess the last thing is, given obviously that you were able to have a big injury and by the seams of it didn't look like you like there was a possibility that you wouldn't come back and play. What would be some advice you give to maybe athletes that are recovering from an injury?
Definitely put your head down and do the physio, and don't push yourself too hard. Like, I definitely had points where I was a bit too ambitious with my recovery, and then I ended up kind of setting myself back a bit. So just follow your programs that you need to do. Put your head down, work hard at it day in, day out, and it'll pay off for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
No
That was amazing.
worries. That was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Best of luck writing your MCAT. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye. So this week, Wednesday, we're going to be having a special edition of the podcast. We're going to be having Coach Jesse Sadi on. For those of you that don't know, Jesse's coached the 18 team the last 3 years. He played as a player for the club as well. He was on the first team ever. And he's got a lot of history with the club and is kind of the backbone of the club. So I'm looking forward to talking to him next week on Wednesday. So make sure you guys tune in.